World news. Decrepit Mitch McConnell went over to Ukraine to cough on President Zelenskyy. Maybe that's code for, we'll keep giving you money. Jeff Bezos turns on Joe Biden and semi-mocks his disinformation board when Joe Biden tweeted, "You want to bring down inflation? Let's make sure the wealthiest corporations pay their fair share." Bezos responded, "The newly created disinformation board should review this tweet, or maybe they need to form a new non sequitur board instead. Raising corporate taxes is fine to discuss. Taming inflation is critical to discuss. Mushing them together is just misdirection." Dang. Bezos is in no way, shape, or form a Republican, as establishment as they come. Pretty interesting to see him publicly calling out Slosif Biden. We got a lot more in today's show, including a lot more Mitch McConnell Ukraine coughs. In a few, the show starts. As a registered Republican, I just wanted to say congratulations, Mitch McConnell, for having a coughing attack in Ukraine. That's one of the most honorable places to just go and cough, so thank you for that. Before I talk about the Bezos thing, I just wanted to look at Jeff Bezos' eyes because they scared the crap out of me. Hold on, let me bring this on the screen. Could you imagine you're just at a conference and Bezos looks at you? I feel like if he just looked at me, he could rob me just by staring at me. He looks at me like that with that eye. I would be like, what do you want, bro? You want my wallet? You want my ID? My social security? My 401k, bro? Please just leave me alone. Don't drone strike me. Frightening eye contact there. But anyway, jokes aside, so I guess I always call Joe Biden slow Biden, and I feel like it's disrespectful because he's the president. We should honor that position. So, I like to be more formal and call him Sir President Slosif Biden, use his full name. He tweeted, I guess I could find the whole tweet. I just had it on the screen. But he was tweeting about inflation, and he said something that was pretty dumb. Here it is. He said, "You want to bring down inflation? Let's make sure the wealthiest corporations pay their fair share." And Joe Biden basically called him out and said they don't have anything to do with each other. There are some similarities, of course, but it's like the government could literally take all of Jeff Bezos' money, all of Elon Musk's money, all of Warren Buffett's money, and just literally drone strike a family in Yemen and then just waste all the money. I'm not saying we're terrible. I'm not like a self-hating left-winger. I'm just saying in general, the reality is that inflation is a lot deeper than just taking more money from Amazon or, Tesla. I don't think that's the whole picture of what's going on here. It's almost like Joe Biden is failing so hard, he's trying to now just scapegoat big corporations. And I'm not saying big corporations are perfect, but between the 2020 lockdown, the pandemic, the money printing scheme that was bipartisan, 2021, Joe Biden gets in, and then you have the war with Ukraine, which came at the tail end of it. But in general, it's like, oh, now it's just like, if we just take the money from the big corporations, then when the inflation goes down. And even Jeff Bezos, possibly, no, I'm just kidding. I don't know what I'm going to say. I got to think about what I'm going to say. I don't want to get drone striked right now. So I got to calm down. The wonderful and, getting buff and jacked, we support that, Jeff Bezos. Even he came out, kind of mocked the disinformation board of Biden, and it was like, it's okay to talk about corporate tax. It's okay to talk about inflation, but to just mush them together and say something stupid. Joe Biden's tweet could have been like any 17-year-old, Democrat Socialist of America, sign up. It's like a basic, low-level Bernie person tweet. And I'm not knocking all Bernie people. I'm just saying like a young person who doesn't even understand politics. If you want to fight the inflation of what's going on now, we just got to tax the corporates. And it's like, even Jeff Bezos is like, no. My only message to Bezos is, watch out for these plastic mommies. They're going to come for your money. Also, getting yoked is a good idea. But the third thing I want to tell Jeff Bezos is, in left-wing ideology, where these people are going, I'm not saying it's full-blown communism yet, but if you read the Communist Manifesto, they want to control information. They want to control pretty much everything. They don't believe in private property, so you're going to have nowhere to get away from them. They think they own everything, communications, transportation, most workflow. So you don't have any distance between you and the government in a communist country. And usually the reason it fails, I mean, it doesn't always fail. I guess China's doing okay for now, but in general, on a world scale, I'm not saying it's like a humane place to be. I mean, it's failing for their people. They're like in a crazy lockdown. Anyway, it's like eventually they're going to come for you. That's the big message of communism. So Jeff Bezos, you get to be yoked, hanging out with plastic mommies at the beach, dressing in Hawaiian shirts now. But, Joe Biden could easily try to seize your entire company in a day, and he could run Amazon into the ground in a week. And that's a lot of what I think they will eventually probably try to do, unless people like Bezos start flexing a little bit back and being like, what are you talking about? I mean, I see the similarities, and I'm not trying to say this is exactly the same, but they're seizing a bunch of property from Russian oligarchs. They're seizing yachts, they're seizing all sorts of stuff. Not people that are like literally Putin, just people that are Russian that have a lot of money. And it's like, if they can do that to them, they could eventually just say it, well, you could be a foreign agent, or, Jeff Bezos, we're going to seize your stuff. So I see that kind of as an escalation, is like, eventually these people, they keep going, oh, it's Russia, oh, it's this people, and then it's going to be Jeff Bezos. And Jeff Bezos is going to be like, oh, I was on your side. I spent billions of dollars on climate change. I did Black Lives Matter, branding all over my website. And it's like, dude, it doesn't matter. They're always going to turn on you. And the whole ideology of like left-wingism, big government, it's going to turn on you. So good job for calling it out now, and I hope that other people do, and that shift comes before they ruin the country. Real quick, I just want to show you this pretty hilarious video of Mitch McConnell going to Ukraine to cough on President Zelenskyy. That's why he went, actually. No, I'm just kidding. But it's like he goes over there. The dude looks like he's 199, and he's just like literally like... It's like, dude, just stay home. Just retire, dude. Retire, okay? I'm tired of you giving our money to corrupt actor, producer, foreign puppets that are absolutely going to squander our money. But I guess, thank you for representing our party, Patriot, and coughing all over Zelenskyy. Like, what?
Hello, nice to meet you. Welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you. John Barras. Yes, so good to see you. Nice to meet you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Nice to see you. How are you?
Good.
It's like he just can't stop coughing. It's like, dude, just retire, okay? Give the position to like Matt Gaetz or Thomas Massey or something. It's time to hang it up, bitch. You had a good 5,000-year career. You've been there since the return of Christ. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. It's like, just stop, dude. I have some pictures of Mitch McConnell because I found it pretty funny. I'm going to put it on the screen. So this is a picture of Mitch in the New York Post. Look at his face. It looks like he's like delusional and he like doesn't know where he is. Like Zelenskyy looks like a smooth character, but like McConnell's like, are you my nephew? Are you the Uber Eats guy? Like he looks like he's hanging on to Zelenskyy so he doesn't fall over. He looks genuinely like confused about where he even is. He's like, is this Coachella? Like, why is this guy running the Republican House? I mean, really? We got three, like that's our guy. Back in the day, it used to be like the greatest warrior or greatest, like war hero would be like, I will lead the nation, or like Marcus Aurelius, somebody that was just like, I am the biggest man here. And everyone's like, aye, aye, Captain. Nowadays, it's like a 5,000-year-old ancient, turtle is somehow, running the party. And I'm supposed to just be like, yeah, this is a good idea. Finally, we have bipartisan support. All of the people who hate me, every media organization that hates me, Fox News, Hillary Clinton, Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, everybody finally agrees on something. Are we getting world peace or like, clean water to Africa? Oh no, we're getting our money given to Zelenskyy. And then we have psychopaths like, Mark Levin unhinged, like being like, if you don't rate Putin, you're Russian propaganda. That's what Fox News money does to you. It just gets to your head. You're like, oh, if you don't want to give your money to Ukraine, damn it, what are you, a Putin propagandist? It's like, no, Mark. I just think it's a little bit traitorous to just keep doling away our money to a foreign country when our country is falling apart. I mean, Kiev or wherever the hell they are in Ukraine looks a lot nicer than Washington, D.C. I've been to the White House. Thank you, whoever invited me there. You know who you are. But in general, it's like, it sucks outside Washington, D.C. No offense. I was wildly shocked by how shitty it was outside of the White House. Inside's gorgeous, of course. They have security, etc. But it's like our own capital is falling apart. Cities all across this country look like a war zone. Mitch McConnell's probably safer there than the south side of Chicago, yet we have $40 billion to give to a foreign nation, and I have to listen to unhinged Mark Levin tell me that I'm like a Putin advocate. Shut up, Mark. It's like, give me a break. Let's do the math. I mean, I can't do it right now because I'm not a genius, but okay, $40 billion. How many restaurants were absolutely mauled in 2020 because the government, and by the way, this was not just a Democrat, I have a lot to say about this, perhaps too much because I talk about it all the time. It's probably getting stale, but I would say a bipartisan scam in 2020. The big scam in 2020 didn't start in November. November didn't work because of the bipartisan scam. This is why I'm so annoyed by what do you think of this? What do you think? What do I think about the fact that before November even happened, from March until November, both parties were selling us down the river, printing trillions of dollars, pushing the country towards lockdowns? I mean, yeah, oh wow, Republicans figured it out after 2 months and Democrats are still doing it. It's too late then. But in general, you get what I'm saying? It's like, how many restaurants were forced closed and absolutely gutted because left-wingers and right-wingers together, once again, bipartisan, came together and decided that it was too dangerous to run your business from March until April. I think like around 100,000 modestly, okay? I did the math when we gave about $10 billion to Ukraine, and that was enough money to give, I don't want to mess up the math now, but like, I believe like $100,000. I mean, 40 billion divided by 100,000. That's a lot of money that you could give, over $100,000, I believe. Please fact check me if I'm wrong and do the math, but 40 billion divided by, you could resurrect a lot of these restaurants, put them right back on the map, say, I'm sorry that we locked you down. I'm sorry that we destroyed your family restaurant. We are, going to make it right and put it in. Yeah, they gave out some PPP loans, but that wasn't enough for a lot of companies and businesses. So in general, it's like there's so much suffering that isn't just random in America. Some of it's random, like not everybody's going to make it, sure. But a lot of this is like a direct result, just like the inflation. It's the biggest laughable, pathetic joke ever to just act like Putin just did this. Meanwhile, our sanctions are hurting us more than him. The ruble is performing better than any currency. And, we're suffering, but that's all. Now Finland's losing electricity, I believe, because, they're trying to strong arm Putin, and Germany's going to suffer because they're doing business with him, but ignore all that, whatever. It's like, I'm just supposed to sit here and be like, oh yeah, I'm such a dumbass that, excuse my language, but too late, I already said it. I'm such a dumbass that I believe, God knows who they're watching on television, that Putin started the inflation in America. It's like, no, yeah, that's when it started. Even though there was literally already like record high inflation before that, it all just started from Putin. And then this is the big trap too, and I don't even care anymore. I've been unpopular. I'm not even gonna say unpopular because I'm actually popular, but unpopular opinion in the right wing for years, because it's like, the Biden administration says it's just Putin, which is literally the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And then the Republicans say it's just Democrat, which once again is the dumbest thing that we've ever heard, because it's like, we have two options. Do you want Pelosi and Zelensky, the fraud, or do you want McConnell coughing all over Zelensky? Which party are you guys voting for? I'm a registered McConnell coughing on Zelensky. And I'm not even joking. That's the party that I'm a part of. I'm a proud member of the McConnell coughing on Zelensky, and we are better than the Pelosi, just like dripping like, whatever plastic, melting in the Kyiv sun that God knows what she put in her body. That's our two options. So it's like, it's laughable that the Biden administration says, oh, if you don't think that inflation is just Putin, you're a Putin puppet. And then you got like Mark Levin, he's like, the Putin ass kissers don't want to sell the country out for Ukraine for the corrupt puppet. And then you got like Zelensky, I mean like McConnell like coughing all over freaking like Zelensky. It's like, retire, dude. You're too old. And then you have like Trump just like running around, like endorsing Dr. Oz and like, deserving to win the Pfizer Moderna Employee of the Year because he's just like literally covering for them for the last 2 years. And I'm supposed to act like, oh, it's just the Democrats. Oh, yeah, inflation's just the Democrats. It had nothing to do with printing $9 trillion and, playing into their hands. That's why I don't even care that much about the November stuff. Yes, I care about it. Yes, it's important. Yes, it's real. However, it's like, if people are not going to address the fact that November was destroyed, mass mail-in ballots, all this stuff, complete shift of narrative, not just like the Democrats did this thing and Republicans tried to fight it. If Republicans tried to fight all the degeneracy and all the nonsense and all the lies and all the bullshit and all the corruption in 2020, I would be right there with everybody else being like, I will fight with you too. Metaphorically, of course, I'm not going to like literally fight somebody that doesn't do anything. But in general, you get what I'm saying? But that's not the case. Republicans sold me out in 2020. They sell me out every year. Mitch McConnell coughs on Zelensky, and I'm supposed to act like it's just the Democrats or it's just November. It's like November didn't work, not because Republicans and Trump were the big victim, because they failed in March 2020. They failed in April. They played into the Democrats' narrative. They played into the hands of Fauci. They played into the hands of Bill Gates. They're probably friends with Bill Gates. You think they're combating Bill Gates in the World Economic Forum. Meanwhile, they're endorsing candidates that work for him. They're together. It's like, get over it. It's like telling, no offense, but telling MAGA that, they might be working together is like telling a Star Wars cosplay, role player to stop dressing up like Princess Leia and go put on some cargo shorts. Like, it's like shattering their entire like perspective. And I actually have more respect for cosplayers because they know it's like a little game they're playing. But, people haven't figured this out yet in Republican politics. They're like, oh, it's just one more time. It's just one. It's like, dude, Steve Bannon seems like he gets it. He seems pretty on it. How was he treated when he left? Oh, sloppy Steve, he's crying. It's like Trump had an easier time shitting on Steve Bannon than he does Fauci. Oh, me and Fauci actually get along. I'm sure you do. And I'm not trying to get on a tangent. I already did. But in general, it's like, this is my whole beef with the whole circus. It's like, you got either I'm a registered McConnell coughing on Zelensky, or I'm which I would never be, but a registered Pelosi, plastic surgery on Zelensky. These are your two options. You got everybody running around talking about November, but nobody wants to talk about March through November. Biden's blaming Putin. Republicans are blaming Democrats. I'm blaming all of them. It's just a clown show. And I'm just laughing at, Jeff Bezos' eyes. I'm not laughing at them. I'm legitimately frightened by them. And I think he could just stare at me and rob me blind. Like just him looking at me, I'd be like, bro, here's some headphones, like whatever you want, bro. Just, you know what I'm saying? Just go back to the Amazon headquarters and leave me alone. Take these, bro. But in general, it's like, it's just a joke. And my take on Ukraine is pretty obvious. I mean, first of all, the crazy part that no one's really even bringing up, I feel like I'm not even trying to brag, but I feel like I almost broke this story. I'm sure somebody else talked about it before, but I actually talked about this years ago. The Zelenskyy story of how he was an actor-producer who had a production studio that he created called Kvartal 95 that created a television show that had him be this president, and then he became the president. Then I found out with more research that the guy who was backing a lot of this stuff, Kolomoisky, is apparently banned from the United States, had some sort of massive scheme with some sort of British bank, like they were saying he stole money. He said he didn't. I mean, this guy is so corrupt that he's not even, I don't think he's even allowed in the United States, and that was one of the backers of Zelenskyy. Everybody knows the Burisma stuff, and I mean, I don't even have to talk about that. That's all very clear in a lot of Republicans' heads. And now I have to listen to like Sean Hannity endorse Dr. Oz and Zelenskyy, and frickin' Ted Cruz say he's a great guy, and Mark Levin like call everybody Putin ass kissers for wanting to focus on our own country. Our party's a joke. I'll still vote for these losers because they're better than the other losers. I'm not a sore loser. I'm not taking my ball and going home, but I'm just not clapping for these people anymore. I'm not impressed. It's not like, oh, he just made his 10,000th mistake. It's like Lucy with the football. I used to always use that as an example 2 years ago. It's so true. I mean, this is like the GOP, and I like to do this thing that no one else likes to do, and I do like to give Trump credit because he was clearly better than a lot of people. He clearly inspired a new generation. There's a lot of winners in the GOP. First of all, the GOP had like 50 or something people vote against that bill. Rand Paul standing up in the Senate. The Democratic Party has nothing. So it's like I've always been saying, the Democratic Party can do nothing for me. How many people stood up against the corruption? Zero. There's nothing there. At least there's a little bit of energy in the Republican Party. And I think Trump did in some ways help some of that. But in general, it's like, I consider him a part of the GOP now. And it's just like Lucy with the football. And everyone's like, oh man, we're almost with one more. And it's like, I think that people have a good heart and they're assuming that Trump and the GOP is thinking like them, right? Oh, they have these plans. They might not even be thinking like you, like, especially if they're not on the same page. I think this Ukraine thing was like a really who's who. I mean, we don't have to agree on everything, but it's like this guy is a total corrupt puppet, and we don't have the luxury right now to rebuild someone else's economy. How are we going to, you know how much of that $40 billion goes to rebuilding their economy? First of all, what does that even mean? Because when we spend money in our own country rebuilding our economy, we don't even rebuild our own economy. I mean, look at the Democrats' bill when they're, let's do the act with the $1 trillion. Like, where does that money go? We don't spend money properly in our own country. You think we're going to spend money properly in Ukraine? And people are going to accuse me of kissing a foreign leader's ass? No, you're kissing Zelensky's ass. You know, you're kissing people who hate us ass. And then we lose, and then like, oh, what happened in November? Why did we lose? What happened in the election? I don't know. We set ourselves up in March 2020. You know, they played into the hands of Dr. Birx and Dr. Fauci. Trump did everything Bill Gates could have ever wanted. Trump did everything that the World Economic Forum could have ever wanted for 3 months. And then he turns around and what's going on with the mass mail-in ballots? I don't know, bro. You lock down the country enough, agree with Fauci, Dr. Birx, and tell Georgia to stay shut. You know, eventually you kind of get what you deserve. And I don't think you should have that should have happened, but there needs to be some sort of accountability. It's like in the left wing, there's no accountability at all. You know, the Democratic Party has no accountability. Who cares what they think about Kansas? Like, look at Los Angeles. Los Angeles sucks, and it shouldn't suck. The economy of California is one of the biggest economies in the world. Los Angeles is going to shit. New York City is a shell of what it once was. I mean, I would rather literally go to Kyiv than south side of Chicago. I'd be much more safe doing a Photoshop with Zelenskyy. Zelenskyy is the photo op with Zelenskyy is the new Coachella for politicians. You know, a lot of women go to Coachella, a lot of hot women go to Coachella to just take selfies of themselves. You're supposed to go for the music, right? You're supposed to go to Coachella for the music, the experience. A lot of chicks, it's just an Instagram selfie. You know, that's like Ukraine. You're supposed to go for the people. You're supposed to go for the war. But they're just going for the photo op. You know, what does the cough mean? What does the cough mean, McConnell? Is every cough $40 billion for corrupt actor, puppet, producer Zelenskyy to just suck away our freaking money? You know, we have the money to rebuild a foreign economy when we can't even rebuild our own. And I'm not trying to be rude or a downer, because I'm really not. I'm an optimistic person, but this is my big beef with what's going on our side right now. Is everybody wants to play they're not gonna do it. There's a lot of problems that no one on the GOP will even touch because it's not even politically correct enough. Like, you thought Trump wasn't politically correct, which he wasn't, but there's certain topics that have to do with things that nobody wants to touch. You know, I mean, look at Kathy Barnett. She said one thing about LGBTQ and she's getting smeared by Sean Hannity and Rick Grinnell as like a homophobe, and that doesn't even scratch the surface of the slippery slope that is literally the slippery slope. There's other things too, like neighborhood demographics, that nobody wants to touch. And until people touch that, nothing's really going to change. And also it's like, reality is reality. People could just not say anything and, it just seems like it's mean to say. It's like, sure, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. So there's certain topics in America that are not, no Republican, including the best ones, are going to touch, because it's really not smart to touch politically, socially, financially. It's not a good move. But will our country turn around? Will the south side of Chicago magically turn into the rich part of Chicago? Is, Los Angeles going to blossom into, Dubai? No, none of these things are going to happen, and it's more complex than what a lot of people are saying. So, this is not to be a downer and a black pill, as they say, but when I've said this for, I guess, other times in different ways, people will be like, if you don't believe that Trump and the GOP is going to save our country, you don't believe. It's like, no, that's not how it works at all. It's like, it means you're replacing your Star Wars fetish with like Donald Trump because you don't want to take a real view of what's going on, and you're just going to continuously get disappointed on loop over and over and over again until you snap out of this like sci-fi interpretation of what's going on that so clearly isn't real. And it's like, I don't know what else they would have to do, the GOP and Trump would have to do to show you that what you thought they were going to do is not happening. I don't know what else they could possibly do. I think a 2-year Pfizer and Moderna sales tour of Trump being more aggressively defending of Pfizer and Moderna than Bill Gates, that's not enough for you to at least adjust and be like, okay, I don't dislike him, but he's not who I thought he was. Like, no, you can't do that. Well, then let's just play Star Wars forever, right? Let's just pretend that, Mitch McConnell's 25 years old. He looks like Brad Pitt and, Donald Trump is Aquaman. No? All right. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to read some comments, but that's my take. The way this country gets rebuilt, the way everything kind of turns around is people got to face reality. There is no one coming to save us. Not the GOP, not the Democrats, not Trump, not Fox News, not, a documentary that's going to tell you that November something happened. Yeah, what's going to happen, though? I'm going to watch the documentary, I promise. But what about Mike Lindell's Cyber Symposium, huh? Remember, nobody's talking about. How come no one's talking about that? That was so important, because it's going to go by the wayside. I don't know. Watch the ballot boxes next time, right? Security cameras, be on it. Definitely figure out how to make the next one more secure. But running in circles around November and ignoring March, April, May, June, July, August, September of 2020, that's when the real scam was. And nobody in the GOP wants to talk about it. You think November was a scam? Wait till you remember March 2020. Do you not, that you don't remember that? You don't want to talk about that? Then what's the point, in my opinion? All right, let's read some. Someone said Jim Jordan is in our corner. Yeah, Jim Jordan's in a corner, all right. He's in a corner tweeting tweets. He's a brilliant tweeter. He just tweets things all the time. He's in your corner tweeting tweets. He will tweet away the things that I agree with. He is quite the Twitter tweeter. So, oh yeah, he's in a corner, all right. Someone said Netflix is a scam. Pretty much. I mean, there's some good stuff on Netflix, but overall, I got rid of my Netflix account when they gave Obama a big deal. No disrespect, but once you give Obama that much money, it's going to get political. Let me see. Someone said President Trump would be a better House Speaker than a president position. That might be true. Anybody would be better than that decrepit coughmonger over there. Someone said Mark Levin and the Fox talking heads want to appease our corporate military overlords. They're Fox conservatives. Love you, big guy. I don't know what they're doing, but it's like, do you know how they shut you down? And this bothers me when any side does it, right? It's like, I'm willing to have a debate. It's not a big deal. But when you just say you're a racist, it doesn't mean anything. First of all, that I laugh at that now. It used to really bother me when someone would be like, "You're a racist." I would get because you're like, I don't want people to think I'm a racist. I'm not a racist, and it's like I'm still not. But it's just hilarious because nobody cares about you anymore. These pseudo intellectual leftists. It's like you're a Like, all right, let's compare demographics. Let's look at my audience. Let's see how many black people and Hispanics follow me. Hundreds of thousands. People in Africa, people all over the world. Nobody listens to you. If you showed up at a black barbecue, people would be like, "What are you doing here?" And you're like, "Oh, I'm a blogger. I'm a blogger. I love black people. Did you hear Kendrick Lamar's new album?" They'd be like, "Ew, get away from me." So it's like you don't have any power in the real world, okay? You lose. So nobody cares about that. But in general, it's a way to shut down the argument. Racist, sexist, xenophobic. And it's like calling someone a Russian propagandist. Like if I say, I don't want to give $40 billion to any foreign country. If you say that to Israel, sometimes they say, "Oh, what are you, an anti-Semite?" And you're like, "No, I just don't want to give any money to any foreign country." "Oh, you hate Jews." And you're like, "No." Now they're doing that with Putin times 1,000. It's like even worse. It's like, you're a Putin propagandist. It's like, bro, I didn't even mention Putin at all. What? You're a Putin ass kisser. It's like, literally no. That's the same thing the left wing said to Trump when he tried to de-escalate the war in Syria. That's the same thing left-wingers called you in 2017 when you voted for, Trump or Bernie Sanders. That's the same thing that they did to you for 5 years. And now you have people like Mark Levin. They could be Rachel Maddow. It's like, what's the point? So it's like, it's just such a cowardly way. There's a lot of stuff to say, but here's the crazy part. So when it comes to information out of Ukraine, Zelensky's a straight up dictator. He has banned 11 political parties, okay? 11 political parties banned. He stole the next election by banning his opposition. He consolidated the media like a communist. He is now a dictator. He's not, to lie. If you say, hey, he's now a dictator, whatever, that's what we got to do, I would say whatever. It's not my business. But to act like he's saving democracy, give me an effing break. Who believes this crap? He's a bigger dictator now than Putin. Putin is an authoritarian, but Zelensky is now even more authoritarian than Putin. Putin has a chance of losing the next election. Zelensky doesn't because he stole it. So it's like he's even somehow potentially worse. And they have the nerve to be like, oh, we're saving democracy. No, you're not. But, there's not a lot of information coming out of Ukraine because they're banning everything. So multiple times, Snake Island, the Ghost of Kyiv, they have lied. It doesn't make me a Russian propagandist to say that they're lying when they're literally lying. Multiple times, Ukraine's government has admitted, we lied. Sorry, we lied. So if I'm to say, this is the annoying part, if I'm to do early like I did on Snake Island and say, hey, I think they might be fibbing here. Oh, what are you, a Putin ass kisser? What are you, a Russian propagandist? That's a way to shut down the opposition. So now we have to believe every single thing that Zelensky says. Do you not realize what happens when you have an actor, producer, puppet with a corrupt government that everybody knows is corrupt? Now they have immunity to lie about anything. They can literally lie about anything because they've banned every political party. They have consolidated the media, and they have Western media on both sides of the aisle, controlled opposition on the right, controlled opposition on the left, literally calling everybody Russian propagandists and agents for calling them out. That's like they have immunity to say whatever they want. They could lie, keep lying. Why wouldn't they keep lying? It's like you're not even allowed to correct them. So it's like whatever. It's like, oh, you're a Putin propagandist if you don't believe that narrative out of Ukraine. Why would I? They've already lied multiple times. At what point do I stop believing them? It's like the boy who cried wolf. It doesn't mean I believe Putin. I can't even find a Putin speech anymore because they've been banned from freaking Western media. They've blacklisted him, potentially harder than Trump, but maybe not as hard. I don't know. Someone said, what would my plan be? Not plan B, get it? No, but it's people have to just take accountability and just stop fantasizing secret plots that the Republicans have to save the election. It's like, it's not happening. It's fine. It's not a big deal. But once the I think it's already happening. I'm not trying to be a big doomer. It's already happening. Republicans are finally waking up, but it's like, it's easy to just snap them back at a Trump rally or something and they'll forget about it in 2 weeks. But people just have to face it and get a little tougher and be like, listen, McCarthy, McConnell, even Trump, it's like, this is, you guys are kind of just like guiding us towards the slippery slope, and it's not enough. I think once enough people face that, that's where we'll get. I want to talk about the LGBTQ stuff because I just think it's an easy example to talk about a slippery slope, right? And this is not to blame every gay person because that's not what I'm doing. I'm just being honest. What is the slippery slope? It's called, if you do this, this is all going to happen. And it's not to blame everyone, but this literally happened in America. So the pastors were saying, if you legalize gay marriage, then all this is going to happen. And you're like, dude, that's never going to happen in America. All of these things that are going on now would have been widely unpopular 15 years ago. I mean, even having like Caitlyn Jenner on CNN would have been, crazy 15 years ago. And maybe some people here agree with it. They think that's a good slippery slope, but whatever. Let me just explain myself. So 15, 20 years ago, you have both parties don't even agree with gay marriage. Then this happens. Next thing you know, now you have, something on Fox News that wouldn't have even been on CNN, and you have left-wingers basically just like running around with gay abortion shirts on saying, oh my God, I want to transgender a 1-year-old. And it's like, what? So like the slippery slope happened. And then you have people like Rick Grenell and Sean Hannity gatekeeping the slippery slope and saying, oh, well, if you say this, then you hate the LGBTQs. So it's like the Republican Party are like professional wrestlers. Like, it's like it's all scripted. The Democrats win and the Republicans just put on a fake fight. It's like they're controlled opposition. I'm not saying they are, but they act like it, where it's like they're just paid to go there and put up a fight and literally lose. And they just do it over and over and over, and people keep falling for it because there's always a character that Republicans like. There are certain people in Republican politics that are not characters, I believe, that are actually genuine people that don't have the power that they deserve. But the people keep kind of falling for this stuff. So I think once the culture of the right, and it's starting to happen, just puts their foot down and says, no, don't do that, that's when it all ends. But if you look at the slippery slope of money printing, that was the LGBTQ example. Let's talk about fiscally economic, stuff. Oh, we want a good economy. We believe in corporations, all this stuff. Everybody that I follow is acting like, and it's true from, I would say, 2016 to 2019, but I feel like one of the only people that's a registered Republican that will admit what I'm about to say. Everyone else I follow is like a Trump tard, where they're just like, oh, the economy was booming during Trump. Oh, I wish I had Trump back because the economy's booming. And it's like, yeah, I would vote for him over Biden. But you're ignoring 2020. And it's like playing a 4-quarter game. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. The fourth quarter is the most important quarter. And the Republican Party literally went full communist in the fourth quarter. You can't just act like the fourth quarter didn't exist. It would be like, oh yeah, we won the Super Bowl because we won the first 3 quarters. Bro, I got the trophy. What are you talking about? So I feel like most Republicans are in denial that Republicans economically, they blew it harder than even like Obama did. I mean, they literally printed, I think, upwards of $9 trillion. They locked the country down and agreed with it for weeks, if not months. They did the CARES Act, which was one of the biggest scam bills in modern history. They did Operation Warp Speed, which was big pharma socialism that gave big pharma more money, power, and control than they ever could have imagined, which led to all the destruction that we're having. And then they just play the victim and say, oh, we got the election stolen from us. Oh, who could have? It's like you worked with Bill Gates, Fauci, and Birx for 5 months and then cry victim the rest of the time. And everybody falls for it. And they run circles around these documentaries and stuff. It's like, you get what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it's like, how are we ever going to solve the situation when you got a bunch of people that are literally lying to themselves, acting like Republicans were fiscally conservative and boosted up the economy during their tenure? At the beginning, it's like, sure, but not when it mattered most. They actually literally imploded the economy and gave you a thumbs up. Pelosi, McConnell, Trump, thumbs up. We're imploding the economy. That's what they did. You can't just play a 4-quarter game and ignore the fourth quarter. Every person that I follow that I like, they probably hate me now because I'm more honest than them. Sorry, it's just true. And it's like they're playing this little Star Wars game because I think it's just like part of their tribe and they don't want to lose their identity, so they just have to be a Star Wars fan, a Trump fan. Oh man, Republicans really, the economy was better under Trump. Retweet me, please. It's like, sure, yes, he's better than Biden. I would vote for Trump over Biden. Yes, Republicans are the better party. In my opinion, I vote Republican. But to act like the economy was booming during the Trump administration, yes, before they imploded it. But you don't want to talk about the implosion of it. You just want to blame the Democrats, even though the Republicans were in on it. So who cares? Who cares about, it's like, it's a big joke. That's why I make fun of, Mitch McConnell and stuff, because it's funny and I like to laugh. I don't want to just run in circles with a bunch of Star Wars fans forever. And it's like, I don't know, I wake up and people I follow, they're like, I'm so angry today. I'm so angry today because it's like, you're angry because you're in denial about reality. So you play this little Star Wars game for 3 months, you run into a wall, and then you cry every 3 months. It's embarrassing. It's like, you don't have to be so angry if you just face the reality that your little Star Wars script in your head about what the GOP is doing is not true. And it doesn't make you a doomer for realizing that. It makes you a child for not being able to admit that. It's not like people act like it's such a heroic thing to literally like pretend like wrestling's real, like political. It's crazy. So the solution is for people to stop like acting like Trump is a Star Wars character and just be like, okay, face it. Be like, it's better than Biden. The Republicans did not save the economy. They actually destroyed it in 2020. And we have to make sure they know to never do that again. But they don't know to never do that again because literally this is like the whole, like as somebody that's interested in psychology, marketing, etc., it's just such an obvious scheme that both parties have going. And I talked to G. Edward Griffin. If you're a big bank or big media or big business, you want to control both sides. That's the easiest way to get what you want. You pay off the left, you pay off the right. You're Pfizer, Moderna, Obama, Clinton, Trump, it doesn't matter. They're going to do Operation Warp Speed. Operation Warp Speed wasn't heroic. It was corrupt. Anybody would have done it. Trump did it as well. So it's like, first you just get both sides. But now you got two teams. You create these tribes. People just fight each other. You got Antifa and the Proud Boys, and then they'll fight each other. And then it's like, you create this big circus around, and you have this Joe Biden and Donald Trump. But they're not really running the show. They're not the banks. They're not pharma. They're not the world players. They're just people that are there to take all the heat while the people above them, just do little mixes and matches and whatever. And then everybody just argues. And then every year you just go and then now it's just it's such an obvious show at this point that it will absolutely end when people stop being so into it, I guess. But the Republicans are making some strides for sure with the type of people that would vote no against that Ukraine bill. People like Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think Matt Gaetz, Paul Gosar. There's quite a few people like that in Congress. It's definitely an improvement. Rand Paul is a clear better option. Rand Paul is like one of the only Republicans, I think the only one in the Senate who did that. Like the fact that everybody doesn't want Rand Paul over Donald Trump just shows that Republicans don't actually believe in anything conservative. You go to every issue of like fiscal conservatism, things that actually matter, things that'll actually set America straight. Rand Paul is like 20 times better than Trump on these issues. At this point, I understand last election, but it's like the fact that everyone doesn't feel like that, it's like it's just a show. People don't care about fiscal conservatism. They don't care about social conservatism. They don't care about conserving it's like a big circus. They want the guy to go back and fight the deep state or something. And it's like, but it's not even happening. So, I just think the solution's so simple, but apparently at the age of 32, I'm more of an adult than like 75-year-olds who cough on Zelenskyy or something. I don't know. But it's, I'm not that old when it comes to politics. To a freaking teenager, I'm old, but to, somebody in their 50s, I'm young. I'm one of the younger people in news analysis, yet I act like the most, adult out of everybody. It's pretty sad. And I'm not bragging like, oh, I'm so special, I'm so wise. I really don't even think I am. I'm also a normal person. It's just like, it's sad that at my age, I act more mature and less emotionally pathetic than like 65-year-old guys. Like, I don't know. Is that not sad to anyone else? Like, I'm not blowing anyone's mind with my, it's just like, but it's a whole industry. It's a tribe. Everybody wants a tribe. It's the same reason people have families, you want people around you and, so I guess people just like, they don't really care about the values they care, but they just want their team to win. And even if winning means losing, then whatever. Let's see. Someone said Team Jesus. I like that. I'll put that on the screen. Someone said Ron Paul being robbed in, let me see. Ron Paul being robbed in 2012 was a tragic event. Looking back on it now, the RNC isn't much of the DNC. Well, I think they said the same thing they're saying about Kathy Barnett, right? He was unelectable. Well, I mean, here's the thing. If you look at even Trump, he took money from pharma. He took money from banks. I'm not trying to shit on the guy, but it's like there's a huge difference between a Ron Paul and a Donald Trump. There's a huge difference between even a Rand Paul and a Donald Trump. Or it's like, if you really want to get to the core of what's going on, that candidate, it's going to be tough to get in the office. I think it's possible at this point, but when it comes to big banks, big pharma, big world globe stuff, if you really measure, and this is where I lose a lot of people, and I just don't care. I always use sports terms like an idiot because I just like sports, but it's like First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. As a leader, if you fail in the fourth quarter, you fail. Trump failed us in the fourth quarter. I mean, massively. He played into every single trap, from lockdowns to the CARES Act to the Operation Warp Speed. Game over, bro. You just printed trillions of dollars, imploded the economy, gave all this power to all of these terrible people, bragged about it, and ran around selling vaccines. It's like, you're not on my team. I could pretend like you're better than Biden, but as far as like, you think I'm still running around like, people, the fact that people won't admit that is crazy. But in general, it's like in the fourth quarter, no one wants to talk about the fourth quarter. Go to any pro-Trump account. They're going to literally black out 2020 as if it never existed, or just write it off as if it was a Democrat thing, even though it was bipartisan. So it's like, how are we going to solve the problem when we don't address the problem? Our own party was in on it. I'm sorry. When it comes to big pharma, nothing changed. Big banks, nothing changed. Deep state, nothing changed. Big tech, nothing changed. Every core issue, fiscally, socially, economically, conservative. I mean, the movement of cultures may be perhaps the only thing that's going in the right direction that was reversed. But as far as like systemically with the power of the president changing all of these other stuff, he played into the hands of the banks, played into the hands of the pharma. Like, he did everything that Obama or Hillary would have done at that point. Maybe, the mandate is the only thing that he didn't do, but it doesn't even matter, because then he just, walked away and then the other guy did it. So I don't know. It's like, if people want to play Star Wars, it's fine. There's a lot of Star Wars accounts that will just, post memes and golf pictures, and it's fun. It's, it's fun to watch him golf and dance, and it's like, oh man, here he comes. It's like, but I mean, as far as being an adult, I don't know. At a certain point, I would think like smart people would be like, all right, this is getting a little much. Let me see. Read some comments. I gotta investigate this, Sydney. She said, World Health Organization pushing the U.S. to be under its total control, no more sovereignty. I have heard that they're doing that. I've been a little under the weather, so I've been a little slower than normal the last couple of days. But, I don't know that they're trying to do that. I've heard that they are, so I would assume that there's some reason that people are saying that. I saw Thomas Massie tweet that no treaty can supersede the U.S. Constitution. So that seemed like him basically saying, even if they were to pass something like that, it doesn't have jurisdiction. But, they're definitely trying to do that. The World Health Organization, if you look at the United Nations, which the United Nations is the big thing, and World Health Organization is a branch of the United Nations, this is when I totally relearned history. Because just like they're, the hero's the villain, the villain's the hero. That's what's going on now. They're the biggest villain in the world right now. They're acting like it's the biggest hero. So if that didn't make you rethink history, you can go back and relearn it and find more accurate portrayals of it, because they did the same thing with history. But in general, after World War II, it's like, okay, we won, right? Oh, we won. Who did we win with, right? Who were our allies that we won with? Communist Russia, China. So we create the United Nations in San Francisco, and, with a bunch of communists, it was a communist jump off the entire time. It was a global communist jump off, a world government, world communist jump off. That's what it always was. It's not like, oh, it just morphed into that randomly. No, it always was that. That was always the goal. And even now with the Putin stuff, I don't trust Putin, and I don't think he's my friend. And it's like, I think he is an authoritarian. But the thing is, who do they want to replace Putin with right now? What type of leader would what do they want? Because there used to be people like Lenin, horrible. Stalin, horrible. That's the type of Mao Zedong, that's China, but still horrible. They want to replace Putin with someone like that, a communist global puppet. So it's like, oh, he's so bad. Who are they going to replace him with? Oh, they want a Stalin or a Lenin, somebody that plays. This is not good. People like Mark Levin are a joke. That's what they're trying to do. Replace Putin with somebody like they used to have in Russia. So, who's worse, Putin or Lenin? I would say Lenin, but I don't know. I guess it's up for interpretation, although I would say it's pretty clear. But all of our allies and all of this stuff, I mean, it's good to have friends for sure. It's definitely good to like have countries on your side, but at what point do the countries on your side want to swallow you up? That's the thing with America. It's like a real ally just backs you up in war. A fake ally tries to supersede your constitution and make your kids gay. So I don't, it's like that's this whole like UN world. It's like, yeah, the World Economic Forum too. I mean, it probably always was a jump off, but it's like the governments and the corporations come and they talk, but eventually they just start plotting and planning, and then they decide they run everything because they have enough power. So they're like, okay, it's mine now. They hate America because we have more built-in mechanisms to stop this stuff. That's why they hate America so much, and that's why they hate you, and that's why they hate conservatives, and that's why they'll smear anybody no matter how much they work with them. And, it's why they hated Trump. It's why even they talk crap about Bezos and stuff. It's like they want his company. Eventually, they'll try to take that crap too, even though he's a Democrat. They don't care. This is what communists do. This is what people that want power and money do. They just steal everybody's crap. And it's literally in the Communist Manifesto. It's not like I'm just making this up like I'm a sour, salty capitalist. It's literally in the Communist Manifesto to control and take everything and not allow anybody to have any private property. I mean, it's a total power grab. So there are people that want to do that in the world, absolutely. And America has more built-in mechanisms to prevent that than probably any other country due to our constitution, due to our law system. It's not perfect, but it's better than others. And, I think this is like the hardest place to subvert in some ways. I would say Muslim countries are pretty hard too, but not really. A lot of them sell their own people out. Like, I'm not going to name names, but you know what I'm saying? These big Muslim countries, a lot of them play ball for the right amount of money. But America, it's like, it's a little more difficult. And it's good to see at least Bezos kind of talking shit to Biden. That's actually a good development in my opinion. Let's see. All right, I'll read a few more and then I'm going to take off. Someone said capitalism kind of sucks too. Well, yeah, because it's not just crony capitalism, but immoral capitalism. Even if you read certain founding father stuff, I'm not saying they're perfect, but it's for moral people. And this is a conversation that I'm ready to have that nobody wants to talk about in politics because everyone's like, I don't see race. I don't see gender. It's like, you don't? No, I'm just kidding. But in general, it's like, it's like, capitalism doesn't work unless you have a moral group of people. You can't have a pill company that's literally willing to kill 1 million people in order to make $1 trillion. Like, that's called not only crony capitalism, but that's immoral capitalism. We don't even have crony capitalism. We have like communism capitalism, where you have these big corporations that are working with the government, getting subsidies, getting paid, shutting down other businesses, paying money to tell you to shut your business down as they're making up. This is not capitalism. Nothing about what's going on in America in 2020 was that's capitalism failing. No, that was like communism and socialism just destroying the free market. But even if you have a free market, freedom to do anything, like you need some sort of rules. Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not murder. But this idea that, let's just make as much money as possible, yeah, that's not also a good system. You need moral people and moral companies. And the problem in America is a lot of companies don't give a crap. They will add a shitty ingredient to their product just to make a couple cents more. And that's the growing, I think, of America. Back when it was just a mom and pop shop, you weren't ready to kill your freaking neighborhood. You just wanted to feed them good food. But now you have a chain of 50,000 people in a fiduciary duty and stocks and stuff. And it's like, man, if we were take out this and put in a chemical here, we're going to make $1 billion more. And it might hurt 1 million people a little more, but whatever. So it's like, that's the problem with America's capitalism that doesn't even exist. It's like, it's just immoral. And everybody, like all these products that we have and stuff, it's just mass producing. I get it. It's nice to have everything. It's hard to feed 300 million people. Part of it's logistics that we've gotten so big that, at a certain point you do have to make some sort of compromise to get everybody materials. So I understand that part of it. But at the end of the day, I think we're lacking morals. And that's, this is the thing with even police and stuff. And I mean, this is a conversation people aren't willing to have, but if you have a neighborhood, as I'm somebody who at this point, I don't like corrupt police, but I do prefer nicer neighborhoods, whatever. If you have 100,000 moral people that don't steal, that don't kill, that don't act like degenerates, you don't even need police. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't even need them. That's just the truth. I mean, the world is not perfect like that. That's a utopia in my head, but I'm just saying, it's like, would you feel more safe in a town with 100,000 moral people who don't kill and steal and zero police, or a town in 100,000 people that will kill and steal, with 1 million police? You'd feel more safe in the town with no police. So it's like, this is a conversation people aren't willing to have. Everything cannot be solved by police and government and left wing or right wing, or Trump's gonna do it. But I mean, there's some degenerate, immoral people in this country. I mean, there's a lot of crap going on in the cities that it's just disgusting. People's mindset, you hear it in rap music too. As somebody who raps, this is not good for my career or popular to say, but guess what? I don't really give a shit. That's why I still get features and stuff, because people know I'm real. But it's like this mindset that they're pushing to the youth is like disgusting. It's evil, and it's like kill, steal, and then you got big name rappers and stuff killing and stealing. It's like it doesn't matter. You can get $1 trillion from the government. You could get a Republican in with the this act and that act and the right, but people have to act moral. Rappers always complain about, oh my God, the police are so bad. It's like, I'm not like obsessed with police, but who's killing more rappers every year? It's other rappers. I mean, the amount of rappers getting killed in the street, not just by rappers, but I'm just talking about street violence, gang violence, that happens at a way higher frequency, but they don't want to be honest about it. So it's like, what's the point? You're just lying. It's just a big front. Oh, I'm gangster. I hate the police. I hate the white man. And it's like, sure, I don't like that white man either, but you're not threatening the white man by telling a bunch of kids to kill each other in the streets of New York City over like jewels. Like, so you're actually helping the white man. You're complaining about them making money and then teaching people all this degenerate evil stuff that they do it. So it's like, doesn't matter how many cops are in your neighborhood, doesn't matter how many cops aren't in your neighborhood, doesn't matter how much money you get, doesn't matter where you go. If you have a mindset like that and you act like that, it's never going to be safe. I mean, and there's so many areas of the country that the whole culture, the whole mindset is just whacked. It's terrible. And then a lot of people, some people make it out, some people change their mindset, and then the ones who don't change their mindset, they end up right back in prison. It's already happening to like dozens of rappers. It's like they got all the money, they got all the fame, they got all the power, they got the big houses, they can go anywhere, and they still keep that mindset. So it's bigger than money, it's bigger than cops, it's bigger than government, it's bigger than left and right, it's even bigger than black or white. It's like people have to act moral. Capitalism doesn't work if people aren't moral. Communism never works, no offense. If everybody was moral, possibly it would work on a small scale, maybe. So it's like we could talk about all this stuff all the time, but people need to act moral, and I think that people have a right to live around other moral people and want to preserve that, where they're trying to act like you can't have that space or you can't have your privacy, and it's like, not everybody wants to live in a declining hellhole like shitscape, like, I mean, if you go to LA, I mean, there's people that are there now tweeting like, yo, I haven't been here in a couple of years. It's really bad. I mean, it's a nightmare. It's worse than you think it's going to be. I lived there for 8 years. When you leave, you're like, why? It's all I knew. I was like, you're just stuck there. You don't have a lot of money, and it's a place where there's a big economy. So you're like, damn, it's crazy that people live that way. It's crazy that people allow that stuff. So that's what I would do if I'm not ever going to run for office. But it's like, I mean, get really tough. Everybody wants to baby everybody. It's like, get super tough with stuff. And, I know they do it in a lot of Republican areas, like they're tough on crime, but it's like, people got to act right. There's not enough government plans in the world to stop you if people are not acting moral. And it happens on a small scale with street crime, and it happens on a big scale with corporations. I don't think Pfizer and Moderna are moral companies. And I find it disgusting and disturbing that Trump is such a salesman / con artist cover-up agent for them. He's done more to cover for them in the last 2 years than Bill Gates has. And he's done it from a right-wing perspective, trying to convince a bunch of MAGA boomers that Pfizer and Moderna saved the world. I mean, it's a disgrace, So morality is the word of the day. Moral capitalism works. Crony and immoral capitalism doesn't work. A moral America works. When you don't have moral people, then everything goes to shit. And I'm not saying religion's the only way to have morality, but it definitely works better than not having it. And I just see that as like all this stuff going on. If you lived in a town of 100,000 moral people and it was Democrat and everybody acted right, it would be nicer than a town of 100,000 people immoral that voted Republican. So I just see that as like a topic that is not being addressed. Someone said pointless point, dude. I mean, just go watch a Star Wars person. I don't care, dude. It's like, go watch a Star Wars guy that tells you WWE MAGA stuff then. If that's, it's so pointless to you. You're so smart, dude. I bet you could run your own live stream and you'd have thousands of people watching. You're such an intellectual heavyweight, bro. You're crushing it, dude. Go start your own channel. Someone said, why not run for office? Because I don't want to. Because it's a bunch of crappy people, opportunists, nasty media people. What's the point? I'd rather build wealth and eventually start a family. Let's see. I'm pretty sure the founding fathers said that this government was only meant for moral and virtuous people. Absolutely. I believe that they did as well. It's true. I mean, a lot of things work like that. And I think, Republicans get that for the most part as far as like with their politics. They're like, no means no, but I don't know. A harder line stance maybe. Let's see. One or two more and I'm going to roll out. Someone said, smart man. I pray you find a godly woman. I appreciate it. Someone said America's poor. I don't know what that means. All right, I'm going to take off then, folks. God bless you guys. God bless America. God bless your family. God bless the world. I'll probably put this on the podcast app as well. So Dream Rare Podcast, it's out there. I'm just going to let you guys know a few things real quick. First of all, I've noticed a drop on Facebook, and I'm not going to play victim. Although I will say I searched Shapiro, and Ben's he's one of the bigger people on Facebook. When I searched Shapiro on Facebook, Ben came up number 17. Like, that's how bad they're shadow banning even Ben Shapiro, who I would think would be protected, but he's clearly not. It's like they're hiding stuff so hard, but I think that Facebook is trying to go to shorter content. Things are starting to skew marketing wise. TikTok is short content. Instagram is short content. Everything's getting shorter. Twitter's quick. Podcasts are booming. I think podcasts are really growing, but Facebook is kind of caught in the middle. And I think instead of going the podcast route, which is what I'm kind of doing here, it seems like they're cutting a lot of reach. They might be doing it for other reasons, but I've just noticed Facebook's losing a lot of engagement because they just hate everybody who uses it. But, I noticed that the numbers were way down and they're trying to push me to do reels and stuff, which I do on Instagram. So I'm just trying to figure stuff out. Maybe I'll join one of the alternate live streaming apps. I'm not going to stop doing it. Everything's fine. But I do like to stay up with the trends too, because everything that I do now is not what I used to do. It's not really selling out. It's just, it's like TikTok and Instagram. People want shorter content and longer content, but I got to figure out where's the right place to put all this stuff. I'm going to keep doing it for now, but let me know real quick. I guess I'll stay for a little bit longer. What do you see a lot of in your feed? Because I don't really, I don't know. I'm just noticing a shift on Facebook and I'm trying to figure out what to do. That, and also I will be doing a show and possibly like a speaking thing in a couple weeks. I'll let you guys know on that. I'll post it on my Twitter and my Facebook, but I will be performing at something called Amp Fest West. Should be fun. So I'll let you guys know about that. But let's see, Facebook. I'm just going to read some of the comments after, but that's it for today, folks. And the podcast, feel free to subscribe on all the podcast apps. American veteran said Anomaly's a traitor, but he spelled it like Trader Joe's. American veteran, it doesn't make me a traitor for not wanting to give $40 billion to a puppet in a foreign country. It doesn't make me a traitor for identifying that the former president of the United States took $1 million from Pfizer and then he ran around the country selling Pfizer products, okay? So if you want to watch somebody who just licks his shoes and tells you what you want to hear, just go watch them, okay? And if you want to spell trader wrong, then go to Trader Joe's and pick up like a nice meatball, sub or something for yourself. God bless you guys. Have a good one.